Chancellor Rishi Sunak is exploring plans to launch a brand new digital currency, which is being dubbed Britcoin. Do you see what they did there? According to the Daily Mail, the new proposals would forever change the way that we spend money.
Yes, unlike other cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ripple, the new Britcoin would essentially be linked to pound sterling, meaning that its value wouldn't fluctuate as much due to its being backed by the central bank. While according to insiders from the Bank of England, the proposal is the biggest upheaval in the monetary system for centuries.
Well, to discuss this further, we're now joined by the financial writer Dominic Frisby, author of Daylight Robbery: How Tax Shaped Our Past and Will Change Our Future. Welcome to the programme, Dominic.
Thanks very much. Good morning, folks.
So I'm interested in how this proposal for a national cryptocurrency would differ from the cryptocurrencies that exist. Because as far as I'm aware, cryptocurrencies are unique in being decentralized, in not being controlled by state actors and being relatively anonymous to use. This seems completely different.
Well, there are cryptocurrencies that follow that description you just gave. There are private currencies, there are decentralized ones, but there are also what are called stable coins. And this would effectively be a stable coin. It is possible for one body to issue a currency with certain criteria. And so the Bank of England would be one of those. And we don't know exactly how it's going to work, but it would, yes, one assumes one Britcoin would be exchangeable for £1. And you would most likely have a wallet, which is a bit like an email address, if you like. You'd have a wallet with the Bank of England, and then you would spend money from that wallet. And presumably as well, the Bank of England could deposit money directly into your wallet. Taxes could be removed directly from your wallet. Fines could be extracted directly from your wallet. When you have money in the bank, there are certain rules in place that give you a certain amount of privacy. It's likely that with a central bank digital wallet, a lot of that privacy would be lost. And obviously with cash itself, well, that's totally private, and you sacrifice some of that privacy for the convenience that a bank gives you, the ability to store money safely, to send it over distance, and so on.
I'm not necessarily the most technologically savvy person, and fintech sort of goes over my head a little bit. So when I hear about all these cryptocurrencies emerging, I do sort of think, what's the point almost? I mean, I have that very basic question. And so for lay people like myself who perhaps don't fully understand what the significance of cryptocurrency is and what the benefits are, what would you say are the benefits of moving to a world where we use cryptocurrencies more so than cash?
Well, the first thing I would say is that there's a close relationship between money and technology. And whatever we use as money has always developed as technology has developed. So, for example, after the invention of the printing press, we started using paper as money. And, with the invention of digital technology in the 70s and 80s, money became digital. We stopped using checks, for example. And paper money now represents only something like about 3% of all the money that exists. 97% of money is digital. And so this is just the latest technological evolution. The advantages of using a currency like Bitcoin that is in limited supply is that it's apolitical money. In other words, it's money that is not state issued. And so when, Rishi Sunak or whoever it is decides that, we need to print more money, you can't print Bitcoin. No, it's beyond the manipulation of state actors. And so, for example, the third highest use of Bitcoin in the world at the moment is in Venezuela. And it's, where, they've got hyperinflation going on and inflation has just destroyed people's lives. Well, that's as a result of government actions. Bitcoin gives you protection against that. The pound has lost something like 99% of its value over the last 100 years. And, it's if you just think how much less house a pound bought you 10 or 20 years ago, or even how much less petrol or how much less everything, state currencies are losing their value all the time. And so the purpose of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin is to give you a store of value that protects you from debasement by state actors.
Whereas, of course, Britcoin would have none of those advantages. It would be controlled
Absolutely
by the
none.
state, it would be pegged to the pound, and it seems like what you were saying earlier is the advantage is not so much for the user of a Britcoin, but the advantage is for the government to see exactly who has what and where, to tax people directly and to track every transaction made. This sounds quite sinister.
It's extremely sinister. It's straight out of Brave New World or 1984 or whichever is your dystopian novel of choice. I do think CBDCs, as they're called, central bank digital currencies, are inevitable. And I think the Bahamas of all places is like leading the way. It's like got the most advanced CBDC. But the word is that China wants to get its CBDC out in time for is there an Olympic Games in China in a year or two? Is that right? The Winter Olympics?
Yeah.
I think there is, but China wants to get its CBDC out in time for that. And, China's pretty far ahead. And, Britain, fairly typical. We're sort of in the middle of the pack. But the scope that central bank digital currencies gives for state control is terrifying, because CBDCs are programmable money. So certain things can be, if you imagine with your cash, you can spend it when you like, with who you like, whatever. With CBDCs, with programmable money, expiry dates can be programmed into that money. If you don't spend this money, they might decide, there's a financial crisis and we need to bail out the economy, and so people need to get spending again. We'll stick an expiry date on people's money. And so you have to spend it by a certain time, otherwise it's just gone. You can program where that money can be spent. So, you might have certain retailers that are perhaps government approved retailers, and you might have other retailers that aren't. And so you say, no, you can't spend that money there. Or you might want to send your money to somebody in a certain country. No, you can't do that. So it gives so much scope for state control. And the combination of CBDC, central bank digital currencies, and these, social credit scores, the social credit rating apps that Boris Johnson's talking about introducing as well, the combination of those two in tandem, it means a dramatic loss of privacy and a dramatic loss of freedom. And I don't think most ministers even understand what's going on. It's like there's some kind of machine in the civil service that's pushing all this stuff forward, and all the MPs are like, what's this? Most MPs couldn't even tell you what fiat currency is. And, there's just such a lack of, these decisions are being taken, it seems, without proper electoral mandate, if that's the right word.
So this was being spun by the Treasury as something that was new, that it was exciting, that was leading the world. What you're saying now is that this is actually just the way that the whole world is going, that it's not particularly innovative, that it's not particularly special, that it gives a lot of power to government. But is there a silver lining here? Is the fact that we're seeing a mainstreaming of crypto as a form of currency, that people will start diversifying what kind of currencies they hold? And whilst Britcoin may exist and may have all of these downsides that you were talking about, people may be also more likely to hold other, more secure, more private currencies.
Yeah, I mean, one of the sayings that's doing the rounds at the moment, if you think of on a motorway, you have the slip road that goes onto the motorway. In America, they call that the on-ramp. And the saying that's doing the rounds at the moment is that CBDCs are the on-ramp into Bitcoin. They're the slip road into Bitcoin. That just normalize it. And the more people that are using, the only escape from all of this is to use non-state money, to use apolitical money, of which Bitcoin is the most famous, but there are thousands of others. And, the more people that use them, the less power the government has.
Well, on that note, Dominic Frisby, thank you so much for joining us this morning, author, of course, of Daylight Robbery.
Yeah, I have to say, he explained it really well, but I still don't get it. So let's move on to our next story.